Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the C-Files. It is 2024. How many of you thought we'd make it to 2024 in 2020 when disaster struck? But we're here. We made it. And it's an election year. And it is going to be one wild ride, that's for sure. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up and share and subscribe. Sure would appreciate that. Let's get the logarithms up as I'm trying to invade YouTube. I'm a YouTube insurgent going into enemy territory and trying to tell you the truth as much as I can without being censored, using little sly ways of doing it as we're able to. Well, the first event of 2024 was a 7.5 on the Richter scale earthquake in Japan. That's a heavy earthquake, folks. I've felt earthquakes before when I was in California, but nothing to that level. That is a very, very powerful earthquake. So keep Japan in your prayers. They're in dire need of the gospel. There's not very many Christians in Japan. That's a culture that has not taken well to the gospel over many years, over generations. So keep them in your prayers. Sun's starting to come up. First work day of the year. And the blessing is there's no shutdowns. Businesses are open. Everybody's out running around normal. Hardly see a mask on anybody. And I know that the globalists that wanted to keep us shut down and keep masks on us for generations have to be extremely irritated that we, the people, just won't cooperate with them, you know? We just won't be the little slaves that they want us to be. And so it's very active out here today. And that's a blessing. You can thank God for that. Because I believe the one who is frustrating the globalist plans and making it not work is God Almighty. God Himself is messing with their heads. And that's God's prerogative if He wants to do that. Now, one of the big threats that people talk about is an EMP attack, where they're able to knock out the grid, knock out all the electricity, knock out the phones, knock out your television, right? Knock out all of it. No communications, no electrical, and it would knock the computers out in the cars so the cars wouldn't run. An EMP attack. There's been a lot of talk about that over the last few years. Maybe not on YouTube, but if you go to other platforms, people talk about it. And there was a movie I saw yesterday. I just relaxed yesterday. I took a day off. Watched a couple movies. Excuse me, my throat's been giving me problems. The movie is called Dragon Day, and it was all about an EMP attack that hits the United States. And the villain in this movie was the Chinese. And so they took over the country through an EMP attack. And there's these little wristbands that people had to put on. and where, and if the people didn't do what the orders were, like a curfew or something like that, the wristband would know about it, and it would kill them. It would kill the people, right? And so they were starving people, no water, no food, unless they had a wristband on, and there was total cooperation, and the military had been completely taken over, and all this kind of stuff. Interesting movie. I thought it was low on quality when it comes to production, but the storyline was interesting because this is the kind of thing that people are saying could happen to the United States, and people are pointing to 2024 as a year that things like that could happen. And my thing is, why don't they go? Come on. Oh, I got green. Okay. I had yellow and then it went green. All right. Here's the thing, folks, about something like that. If they can do it to us, we can do it to them. And that's part of the reason why I think something like that has not already happened. It's almost like the nuclear threat, right? Well, they got nukes. Why don't they just nuke us if they wanted to get rid of us? Because we would nuke them. And there would be an exchange, and nobody would win. So we have troops in Asia. We have aircraft carrier groups, amphibious assault groups. We got Air Force, all of that stationed in Asia. And if they ever hit us with an EMP attack, those military groups, I am sure, would have the ability to hit back with an EMP attack. So say if the Chinese hit us with an EMP attack and shut everything down across the country, which, by the way, that would be difficult because it's a very, very large country, and it would take a lot of EMP attack to knock out the entire country. But if they ever did, guess what we would do in retaliation? We would hit them with an EMP attack, and there would be an amphibious assault on them. Now, given our level of gun ownership in this country versus their level of gun ownership, who do you think is going to win that little contest? Shotguns and carbines and handguns do not require computer chips or electricity to function. And so, as soon as the cars would stop working, everybody would, people would start figuring it out pretty quick. That, oh, this is an attack. I'm loading up with my ammo and stuff. A lot of people bought survival food to survive on in case something like that happened. And you'd see a highly armed America fighting back. It would not be as easy as the movie depicted. And so the world isn't as simple and cut and dry as movies sometimes depict. Let's go to another subject. They're trying to take Donald Trump off of the ballot, right? Trying to make it where he can't run for office. Citing the 14th Amendment. He's an insurrectionist. That tells me that they know they can't win the next election. They already know it. They know it's done. Democrats in Groves are turning away from Biden. Some are turning toward Trump. The rhinos, the fake Republicans, the fake conservatives, I should say, who are really globalists, controlled by globalist interests, they're getting their butts tanned in the primaries. I mean, they are losing big time in the primaries. And so it's game over. Trump is going to slaughter his Republican opponents in the primary. He's going to be the nominee. And the Democratic Party knows that he's going to slaughter Biden in the general election. And so the only other option that they have is to try and disqualify him. That won't work. The Supreme Court will shoot that down. And they're going to shoot it down here pretty soon. And there's already been states, red states, that are moving to disqualify Biden. So, it's political warfare out there, folks. What one side's going to do, the other side's going to do to the other side, right? So that's not going to work. So my conclusion of that, a prediction for 2024, is Trump's going to be the next president, period. Now, when he goes into office, the Epstein clients who were committing crimes against humanity, pedophiles who were the Johns for the trafficked children that were being abused, they are going to be exposed along with a whole bunch of other people who did a lot of evil in the federal government. They will not only be exposed, but they will be brought to justice. Now, the list that's supposed to be coming out, that there's a particular judge that said we can, let's release the names on that list, has indicated that a former president of the United States is on that list. So, that should be interesting when it comes out in 2024. We'll see what happens on that one. Many of us have been sickened and extremely wrathful against and by those who have been committing these heinous acts of sexual perversion and evil. The days of the sexual perverts bossing everybody around in this country are about to be over. That's another prediction that I'm going to make. That's about to be over. We're not playing that game anymore. That's about to end. Now, that means that the crimes that they have committed, they will be brought to justice. There's going to be some house cleaning once Trump goes into office. I don't know if the FBI and the CIA are even going to be retained, and other agencies of that vein in the federal government. They very well could be on the chopping block. And I believe that General Flynn will be going into the Trump administration. And I think there's going to be a big hatchet given to him. And he's going to start chopping away and cleaning house in the federal government. It's another prediction I believe is going to happen. Now, they between now and then, that's why I'm saying 2024 is going to be a crazy, wild year, because the people who would be on the chopping block and the people who would be exposed for the crimes they've committed against humanity, that includes health department people as well. Hospitals, doctors, nurses are going to be on that list. They're not going to want to be exposed, and they're not going to want to be brought to justice. And so they're going to do everything they can to fight against this happening, against their exposure, against them being brought to justice. So that means that the big money, the big corporate interest that don't want to be exposed and brought to justice are going to do everything they can to fight not only against Trump, but also against we the people. And that's why it's going to be a crazy year. That's why it's going to be a wild ride. But they will fail, once again, because one of the things that we've proven as people is that we have the ability to devastate a corporation, to shut it down if we have to. Just look at Bud Light, Budweiser. They have suffered major losses because of a commercial and some diversity, equity, and inclusion policies that they've pushed, and it's about killed their company. Disney's in the same boat. People have a big target on Disney economically, and they're saying we're not spending our money on any Disney products, no cruise line, no theme parks, no movies, nothing. We're done. We're done with Disney. And Disney has taken a big loss. They are hurting. And they've had to do cutbacks. They've talked about layoffs and everything else. We have the ability to hit a corporation where it hurts, right in the pocketbook. And so their attempts to hit us, because we're not doing what they want us to do, has been hindered, has been damaged by our hitting back. So the other thing that I think is going to be happening this year is the parallel economy. Because one of the things they'll try to hit us on is the banks. You remember when they had the trucker protest up in Canada? And how they shut down the bank accounts of truckers? And that's one of the methods they use to shut down the protest. They'll try that crap with us too. But what's going to happen is, and it's already starting to happen, I already know of one online bank that is in rebellion against the globalists, is that we will have our own banks that will not participate in globalist demands that our accounts be affected, that our accounts be shut down. And these banks that are on the Patriot side will not shut down, and they will not mess with our accounts. I think a lot of credit unions will not be messing with people's accounts. I've had very good experiences with credit unions because they're not international globalist banks. They're owned by the members of the credit union. Now, do you think the members of the credit union are going to be shutting their own accounts, or their own bank accounts down? No, it's not going to happen. We'll be spitting in the face of the globalists that want us to do that. So, these nefarious plans that the globalists are depicting in these movies, these disaster movies, these takeover America movies, this movie Civil War that's coming up, that's the latest update that the globalists want to give us, because they always like to tell us what they're going to be doing before they do it. It's not going to work out the way they think it's going to work out. That's my belief. I think what has happened over the last 4 years is that American people have become more and more united in certain things, and one of them is economics. Another one is they don't want their children exposed to sexually perverted materials in elementary school. And they have flooded, we the people have flooded these school board meetings and demanded that stuff stop. And demanded that the school board and the schools and the administrators and the teachers recognize that they don't own our children. Our children belong to God Almighty, and God gave parental stewardship over those children. The parents are responsible before God for their children. Not the schools, not the administrators, not the school board. The way schools are structured in this country, it was a game plan all along to steal children away from parents. And so that the state could control the population, the populace, in a communist style control. Well, that too is failing. And the key is that more and more people are getting on their knees before God Almighty and begging and pleading with God to save our nation, to save our churches. And more people are starting to reject the mainstream media, to reject the sitcoms, to reject the television, and to bow their knee to God. I think yesterday I read, let me count them up. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About 7 or 8 chapters out of the Bible, because I'm not watching sitcoms. Folks, I don't even own a television. Don't need one. I don't need a television. But then again, there's another danger. Your phone has become your television, hasn't it? You can get Netflix, you can get Amazon Prime, you can get YouTube movies, you can get news, you can get weather reports, and other forms of entertainment on your phone. Right there in the palm of your hand. So that's another addiction that we have to be careful of. So it's really up to we the people. Are we going to do what's necessary to protect our families and save our nation? Or are we going to stay plugged into the Matrix? Remember the movie Matrix? Well, guess what the Matrix is? It's the metaverse, right? It's artificial intelligence being hooked into the computer, going into a computer world, and being so locked into the metaverse, the computer world, metaverse being is that the Facebook version of it? I think it is. Anyway, that we lose track of the real world. There's the Matrix, and we're heading in that direction with a lot of people. An entire generation has been damaged over the last 2 to 3 years because of shutdowns, mask wearing, school shutdowns, internet learning. See, the problem with the parents that damage their children is they stayed connected to the public school system when it comes to the internet learning, instead of pulling out of the public school system and going to homeschooling, which is better for children. The parents had to get a wake-up call that their schools are not their friend, it's their enemy that is indoctrinating and poisoning their children with garbage, with sexual perversion and perverted ideologies. When the parents began to wake up, the homeschooling movement exploded. I mean exploded, and grew exponentially, tripled in size. And that's why I have hope for our country and our nation. That's why I have hope for 2024. I believe that whatever damage was done to our children is being reversed by the homeschooling movement. Christian schools are filling up so fast you can't even get a slot in one anymore. And I live in a rural county, and it was hard to get 2 of my grandkids into a Christian school because there were no slots left. But we got them there. So even though things are going to look really bad, including probably a space alien invasion, yep, they'll pull that one off. They have holograms that they can project images up in the air. It looks real, and it looks like there's a real UFO up there. And one of the things they can do to try to shut things down is an alien invasion faked by the deep state. I'm telling you folks, they're going to do anything they can to stop us from putting Trump into the White House. Anything they can do. Because they know that he's coming after them. They know that all the stuff they did to him, he's going to be doing back to them. And look, Trump is the one who brought Epstein to justice. He's the one. Epstein would have never been in prison if Trump didn't, if the Justice Department under Trump didn't put him there. And that was under the orders of Trump that Epstein be arrested and brought to justice for what he was doing. So think about that. So I think we're going to see good things in 2024 once the election comes around and we're able to elect who we want, not who the deep state dictates to us. But until then, they're going to do everything they can to shut us down. They want martial law before the election so that they can appoint who they want as president. And if they can find anything that they can come up with to put us under martial law, they will. So hang in there. Buy a little bit of survival food, to last a few months if needed. You may not need it. There may never be an incident, but it's good to be prepared. One thing I learned in the military and in law enforcement is this: prior preparation prevents poor performance, right? Being ready, well-trained, have all your equipment, right? Well, it's true in the civilian world as well. Have an emergency fund. Have some survival food if you need it, because in case you do need it. If you have a hurricane that hits, a tornado that wipes out your town or whatever, you might need that, right? So it's always good to be prepared. And by the way, I'm not selling survival food. I don't sell gold. I don't sell silver. I don't do any of that. I'm just telling you what I'm thinking would be a good thing to do. So just have extra water, bottles of water that'll last you a while. Things of that nature. Just be prepared. Because 2024, well, folks, will be one wild ride. But it's our character and our integrity and our resolve that will get us through 2024. Maintain good morals, good integrity, do what's right, do what's moral, never give in to evil, and we will win this confrontation. Thank you for watching. God bless. Happy New Year. And let's go forth and conquer for Christ in 2024. God bless. See you next time on C-Files.